of me and Jess.
But Des took a punt on NaVi this time.
Yeah, so Des did. BDS NaVi is going to be one of these difference makers. Des went NaVi, me and Jess went BDS, so we're going to be able to make it up there. And then I have Rogue, whereas Jess is Kavana, and Des also has Rogue. So if it's NaVi that wins, then Des already won. If it's BDS that wins, it's either going to be me and Des tied for first place, or Jess to be running away with it.
All of my predictions so far
are correct. No, yes, but isn't that what you were going for?
I'll never tell. So yeah, I've taken up. I think that the arguments about predictions became too much for my gentle soul to bear. So I've been having a peaceful protest.
Oh yeah.
And then
you're trying to end around 50.
Every day I've been changing what I've been trying to do with my predictions. Every day I've been like, okay, this time I want to try and get every single one wrong. This time I want to get every single one right. This time I want to get 50%.
So that means you are trying to lose some of your predictions on purpose, trying to predict the team that loses.
Yeah, but
no one will ever know whether you are
know.
Trying to insult them or if you're trying to
or if I'm just having a bad day.
Yeah, so you know, it's a strategy. That is for sure.
I just don't like the infighting.
I don't like it either. But I also don't like how I'm being forgotten about. Literally.
Yeah, okay, but I will only fight for you.
Thank you.
Against those nerds. Talking of nerds, we have 10 of them. We have 10 of them in a game of Siege that, at the start of the day, was a very important game of Siege. Now, less so. Natus Vincere. If you've missed it, if you've missed the party, if you've missed the result, they have got their place. Vitality could not find out what the secret was. What was the secret? It was Slebin and Gomfy having a fantastic game.
It was.
It's a good secret to learn.
Just to keep in mind, however, though, is that there is still a little bit of changing within the top 4 possible.
Yeah.
BDS win this game all out. They will be overtaking Team Empire. And G2, so they'll end up in the first place. An overtime win will not be enough due to the lack of the head-to-head over G2. So it's either an all-out win to get first, or it is a single point to or two to make sure that they keep in third place. Because if NaVi win this within 12 rounds, they'll also be on 18 points, and they will be getting the head-to-head over BDS as they, surprise, play against them right now. So, you know, so there's a bit of the seeding that can still change in terms of the major. For once, I'm actually not quite sure how it will work. I think that's the first.
It's empty group stage. You go on Liquipedia and you're like, come on.
Come on, give me something to work with.
Are we going to have, like, I don't know if there's plans. If there is,
do a drawing.
I want to do a draw with one of those big like machines with all the balls in. I mean, just roll it round, and then I want to pull them out.
Let's propose it that we do that.
Yeah, if anyone's listening who's in charge of this, give it to Hap and I.
We'll make a show out of it.
We'll make a show out of it. We'll give you a performance. Here, we've got through the first 50 seconds, and there hasn't really been a huge amount. The hold that we're seeing here from NaVi, they have the castle, they have themselves their extension, the long arm that they can offer themselves. They're a team that does like to take fights, but this is a great BDS map. BDS is so good on Cafe, usually. They're looking to see if they can get some progress here across the top of the bar, burying their way steadily through. With that Flores in the hands of Alems, you know it's probably going to be sooner rather than later. The pressure starts to come, but why not take the firefights first? Rafal sprays towards Saves, who doesn't quite catch anything. Going to put a bit of danger and put a bit of a fear into them in case of the hop out, and that's going to put a bit of urgency into those dangling players' lives.
It's definitely going to. You also saw the Yana Ben come out earlier, and then Shaiko said, I can also play Ashe, no worry. And the O'Deer came out from Doki, and it just started out with the Ashe, the entry kill from Shaiko. Just to start it all off, using one of those breaching rounds, of course, to get rid of the cameras that are out and about all over the sites. The top floor control has been established. BDS is in control, and the RCEs are being put up. Shaiko, however, taken down by Secretly. A tight angle being held with the 9mm, still with the 1.5 for now. Able to pick up the return frag.
And Shiro is steadily burying his way across the top here, seeing if they can get any angles and any bit of a grip on a site that requires the verticality first, but still a lot of processing work to be done down below. There is the pings coming consistently. They can see the Banshee. They can see some of the other intel. Look at the watch here on that hatch. It's just an easy pickup for Saves. The ping came through potentially a little bit late there for Alem. I'm not sure if he got the call before he got the ping, but when push came to shove, you can see Vincere was still steadily opening up the angles. They could have definitely approached that in a different way. That way. Vincere has the ping, utilizes the hammer, gets the drop on saves, but you're looking at only 20 seconds left.
It's not much time indeed. It's 3-on-3. Grenades are still being tossed in, and BDS, well, they need to start hurrying. There is still one inside of the train. There's still a castle barricade that will block them off, and secretly that will drop down that diffuser, and it's going to be challenged by a second member anytime now. There's 8 seconds on the clock, and secretly, well, he shuts down another one before finally falling himself, but he won the round there. There is no time. Vincere just tries to get a grenade in, but bounces off the door frame there. Round was already over anyway.
Yeah.
It is going to be round number 1 for NaVi.
They get off the board. They get off the board with a good hold there. They did enough to sort of put some pressure on the top floor. As you sort of saw, they weren't intently throwing themselves into firefights. It was more that I think BDS were sort of waking up. They were waking up towards the NaVi hold. They were trying to get the clarity on the positions. They were still trying to set themselves up. They couldn't quite get the handle on sort of piano area for a very long period of time, which meant that secretly playing inside of that train was able to keep driving and keep fueling the sort of hold there across the mining room. And yeah, it was a bit tricky for BDS there. I think that was a bit of a, okay, wait a second round, and now they're going to start to bring themselves into this a little more.
Well, they'll have to if they want to make sure that they are heading away with the first seed and yet again be the champions of the European League in this stage. Of course, just fell short against NaVi last season, or last stage. And then they fell short against G2 in the European League finals, which now results in the G2 logo being shown on that flag in the intro every single time with the 2020 logo number under it.
Their flag.
It could have been their flag, and they definitely want to make sure that the 2021 flag that will come right next to it is going to be with their logo and name on it. And they're also in bootcamp. You might have seen it from their player cams earlier on. They believe are in Geneva. So cut to behind them. Doki trying to go for a bit of a spawn peek. Was a bit too late and received some bullets as a present instead. Was able to avoid them for now with that BDS. Of course, not opening up the score, and NaVi, well, not losing a player early on.
That's it. Being in boot camp, giving you that energy. We saw what it could do with Vitality and almost took them all the way across the line. Maybe if they weren't today, it might have been a different story. But here, BDS, they have themselves in this team talk scenario. They have themselves all in the same room along the line of the wall. And that is a different energy. That is a different dynamic that you can sort of apply to yourself as a team. You have that drive. You have that connection, which is what you really build behind. You build that on a team with so much coordination as BDS. A bit of a pressure onto Doki, who pulls himself back. Rafale's going to start trying to burn their way across towards the pixel corner. There is a Lem again. He's going to probably be on floors pretty consistently throughout this. They've ran it on their previous cafe attack as well. They honestly believe that it's one of the strongest operators in the minute.
They also ran this a lot on the 7-0 victory they managed to get against Team Empire on this map during the first play day of the European League. Was that also the first game? Don't think it was, but at least it was one of those first days. So, BDS now having to use a bit of utility to open up the castle barricade, but it will be opened up in the end. A bit of pressure is coming down, though, from the side of Pixel.
Yeah, not another CL moment. We had that open pretty clean into that, and now it's seeing how, I guess, you try and keep that T1 energy going, and it's on the back of the red stairs. Shaiko gets the pick off there onto Nath for the second time, finds the opening frag on a different body this time round, starts to try and clear his way across that Christmassy room. As the piano doesn't play in the corner, but he's hoping to play anyone that might try and go back into the pixel angle. But look at the body down underneath inside train. They still have the option to try and cause some chaos. It's Blur. He has a C4 in pocket. He's waiting for a few footsteps to get a little bit closer, waiting for a call and a bout of pressure here, and you can see he's moving now towards that hatch. Are they aware? Well, not really, just slips past. Shaiko almost caught Blur there. Both were a bit surprised by the other, and I said they're waiting for audio, but apparently visual came first.
Definitely so, both were looking for one another, and eventually it was the Nitro that came in clutch. Actually not able to be quick enough, and now you see a bunch of X-Caros deployed on the walls. However, the mute jammers will be blocking off anything from opening up. And as the Lambs wanted to go for a bit of a hunt down onto Blur, Blur is going to be able to strike for a second time. Able to shut down the second BDS player. Now it is BDS trying to move in. Brude gets taken care of, saves, and Blur will go down as a result, and now it's a 2-on-2 active situation. But make that just Rafal. He's gonna get taken down, Madoki. I believe that was, and with that we find ourselves with NaVi still on the lead, and they're extending on it as well right now. Even though the pressure is off, that might free them actually to some extent.
It's a different environment. If we look at the Vitality game, you could see the pressure in the play. It was something that we talked about a bit before. Some of these engagements were going away from them. There were a couple of misfires, a couple of handed opportunities that they managed to drop the ball on. And it was sort of built behind those little slip-up moments, those little disconnects. Here, this is a NaVi that we get to see without that pressure. This is a NaVi that I think obviously, and I think everybody thinks and probably knows, it would have been a very different environment for them here. And it's a bit of a relax. It's a bit of a breath of fresh air. They still want to take the win, but now that pressure is very different. BDS here, they were always going to play their BDS game. And they haven't quite found the connection in these opening couple of rounds. It's still a bit scrappy. But they're a team that does grow into games sometimes and grows into these engagements.
Definitely so, but I just feel like the floors didn't really have the impact yet they would normally have. There's a lot of utility being used in opening up these castle barricades, but no real pressure really coming through. It's these initial gunfights that are won by BDS. Like, they managed to get the entry twice in a row now. It's just that everything from there on just doesn't really seem to be going their way straight away. They need to find that extra opening, the second one into that round, and well, let's see if they can get it now as we are playing in that bottom floor. Tons of verticals can be made, can be used here. Stoke's opening up these windows just to let its presence be known. He's hoping to go for a bit of a spawn pick. Unfortunately for him, though, not able to find anybody yet. The Valkyrie will be giving away valuable information, though, on the other two spawns. And Blur, well, thinking about a run out, also has to be aware of the fact that the hatch could be opening up any time now.
Here comes a Lems, and there goes Blur. Not going to take that fight directly. They were well aware of the open door, especially. Alem takes care of the camera. They knew that they were being watched the whole time. They were sort of hoping for the fight, and they could kind of tell that. The drone in, steady for Shaiko across the top floor, trying to offer some of the support down towards the bottom of Brown there, but there's nobody there, so nobody is going to suffer Shaiko entrance, potentially for the third time in a row. The first fight might happen here, though. Around White Stairs, there is the potential of a drop here. The drone is whirring its way down on the staircase itself, so he's going for an alternate hatch. He finds himself now eyeing towards the fight.
Still no entry frag has been made. The drones are there to guide him in. The reaching round comes through as well to open up a line of sight, and a drop through the hatch will be there as well. NaVi, however, this time we'll be able to get the entry. Blur just in time, dropping through the hatch because Shaiko was about to go through it. He almost got the headshot there, but it's NaVi to go down to Rafal. And now it's a 4-on-4 situation. Still plenty of manpower on the side here for NaVi. And, well, we do need to see BDS starting to open up this vertical holes. They need to start working vertically if they want to make sure to have a good opportunity of taking the side. But it seems like instead, a bit more of a horizontal approach is more on their mark right now.
Well, Shaiko now has the opportunity to try and drive his way through into the later and latter part of this round. Going to set up the C4, and the Claymore even, and give themselves a little bit of range. You have to do some of this vertical work. You have to do some of this control, and it's going to start with Brude trying to burn through before the swing onto that shield comes onto the cocktail side. Shaiko, with a quick pop around the corner, is concerned about the soft wall just to the side. You can see them stacking themselves up. Blur was looking towards the potential swing on the backside of Freezer, but the canister buys them a little bit of time, opening up some angles, making things even more uncomfortable for Shaiko, who's found himself a little bit stuck. Needs this verticality work to come through. Can't quite get the second canister either. Is so desperately eyeing up the fight. The default gives a bit of a game away, and they found themselves a bit stuck. So they're eyeing just a hot drop here on the hatch. They take it, and Brude screams his way through. Rafal is up on the rafters. 20 seconds. Ranchero still can't get a handle above, so he's just going to wait for the rotates that might come through here. The bulletproof camera is trying to spot as much as it can as the plant is going to come through. A long arm C4 might be attempted here. There's the nitro potential. As we see them push further, there's the catch on the side. There's a post-plant situation. There's a spray, not quite caught all the way. A 2 versus 1. Shaiko is suddenly the last one left after being the first body, usually in the opening confrontation. Takes it. Very importantly, the vertical.
There we go. Oh, I knew it. I was going to say the impact is still in pocket. He just managed to get the kill. And he tossed it up there. Blur able to get the Pokeball kill to Shaiko. That's going to be 3-0 for NaVi. After what looked to be a pretty good well, post-plant situation if it wasn't for the one man just sneaking up on the top floor.
That's it. That's how sort of dangerous it became in that engagement there. We saw, obviously, Shaiko able to get into this situation. The play around on the top to get the intel and the use of the Pokeball was just that perfect catch. It was a team that's sort of playing in their own. I mean, Blur, we saw him almost in the very first engagement. Pull back again, keep pulling back. He made sure that when he played his hand, he was in a position where he thought he could punish them and sort of proved that. He was able to pull up the triple, obviously. He was able to get the opener from Rafal, not quite expecting it. They thought the rotation might come from the kitchen side itself rather than coffee and sink area, and suffered the consequences.
Definitely suffered the consequences there. Tried to go quickly there. They almost managed to get it off, you know, because they did get the plan down. Just unfortunately that the gunfights didn't really go their way. They also didn't really have a drone inside of the bunker to spot out Blur prone. Been able to pick him up, then suddenly there wouldn't have been an impact to take care of Shaiko, as he was the last man standing on the top floor, just killed. Your piece of cover, as we see here, Blur able to pick up one, saves, dies. However, we see that refrag coming in, and Doki in the meantime was on that top floor, and at the moment he gets killed, they know exactly where he is, and due to the extensive map knowledge of these players, yeet, you just get indeed that Pokeball just yeeted up there and securing the kill, and that is going to be allowing you to go for that defuse after that, securing you the round. And now round number 4 is underway. We are in the action phase already, and NaVi, well, they're going to face yet another BDS attack. They have been able to fend them off quite well. Some with a bit of help from the Pokeballs, for example, and others with just BDS basically running out of time and having to brute force themselves through the site. BDS back to the top, back to a start, and to attack the middle. Slightly different alternate approach so far, but we're looking at, obviously, Nathan, the role of the Echo. You have the extensions of the Goyo. It is an entirely different sort of setup and hold here. Bit of pace from the grenades very early on, and that Echo drone is trying to do as much reconnaissance work as it can to offer some support. Shaiko is looking for the first fight. Didn't quite get it before, was one of the last bodies off the board, but he's making sure that this time he's able to have a bit of an impact. And to be fair, the first 2 rounds he did. He found himself kept at arm's length on the latter, and it didn't quite work into their favor. A lot of angles are being set up. Doki has the opportunity of rotating up on the red stairs. Of course, it's dangerous if the hatch is opened up and players could be playing around it. So might want to wait until the perfect opportunity to start and strike. Whereas Rafal holding off on the hatch will be making sure no more rotations to that bottom floor will be coming through it. Just needs to be careful as well. There's still the Echo up there. He's being challenged currently. There's RCEs being tossed at NaVi. There's a grenade. That will actually get the kill down. And, well, he will still stay alive for now. It's a DBNO just, but a simple drone should be able to confirm that.
Shaiko is still trying to steady their way around the corner here. Lumber has a body in control. It's a drone that doesn't get the lock off because Shaiko finishes it themselves. Finds another entry statistic for the others that he's been able to have before. Saves with a C4. Wants to hit over the top, but, well, now's the moment to play it. It's the stretch. It's covered, though. Didn't hear Shaiko slip past, who's been able to get all the way down the stairs. Are they aware? A little too late. They just don't escape, and his bodies get dropped on the other side as well. Bride from above puts a little bit more work in 40 seconds, but they've done huge amounts to weaken the hold here of NaVi.
This could be huge. Doki going up. There's 3 people currently on this top floor. If he manages to take them down right before they drop, he could be able to get this round. As the diffuser dropped, he instantly gets taken down from Rafal. That was peeking from the new balcony. No information on the second one being there, and that is going to be round number 1 on the board for BDS. After 4 rounds played, it's not characteristic for them. But as we mentioned before, there is little pressure on both these teams right now. Both are confirmed. It's basically just, well, points for the overall standings, you can say, but of course also potential seeding, depending on how that will work. Frost now being brought out, 6 picks away from the smoke, secretly will bring it. See if they might be able to catch 1 or 2 of the BDS players off guard, as we are heading back to the engine room. Of course, the frost mats will be placed on the direct windows to stop any potential quick push to come through. will be aided with a Rooney laser gate as well, so extra utility has to be used. And you're basically looking them all off like that. As you see 2 of the castle barricades being placed down, a bulletproof camera just to watch over the entire site, and the only thing they're doing, well, is basically jumping into a box. And if people are watching that, they might be able to make sure that they get some free kills.
I guess I'm curious to see if the approach here from BDS is a bit different. Maybe that first round that we were here was a bit of a... They expected, potentially reading, they expected something else. You don't see mining dining a huge amount. It's not the most common played sort of spot, and BDS do sometimes sort of expend themselves and extend into offsites as their primary pick to throw people off. And here, from the growth that might be offered, it's have BDS got a response plan? Have they got a different idea? And have they got a take that they think this first early stage is the ones that's driven more towards getting the control of the mining dining site instead?
It's also, of course, do they want to show their other approaches? Because Cafe has been an okay map for BDS. Currently it doesn't seem to be shown, but they are going to Mexico, and we all know the infamous saying of saving strats.
That we do.
You can never completely rule that out in these games, but that goes for both these teams. Both these teams are going to go to Mexico. Both these teams might not be playing in their full potential.
I think it's nothing that you ever have the full answer to, because both teams are always still playing to win. Both teams are always still playing great fundamental siege. They're bringing ideas, they're trying things, trying games, and you know, these are all, as they've got themselves in this position, 10 of the best players in the world. There's, you know, that's backed by statistics and the fact that they're on the fight for the major at this current sort of moment. And still, I think you're right, it's that you're trying to make things click, and sometimes that's it's this weird moment where a take for a team like BDS can be a lot of creativity with operator selection.
This could also be a way to basically distract the opposing analysts here, as we see 2 players that NaVi drop quickly, saves and blur both. The DBNO staked. It's Doki, however, to get the entry kill. Shaiko will drop. Flashbangs are being tossed in right after, but no one is really able to respond as Doki gets a great second kill. And it started off with BDS having 2 men in the DBNO state, and it ends up with 2 of them dropping dead on the ground themselves.
I know, what a little disconnect there. The fact that they've been able to get 2 down, couldn't quite get the solidity there. Rafal on 1, and I think Alems is now just moved into this position before, has been playing a lot of these slightly further back roles. This split, it's something that I talked about before, is he statistically has been having a fantastic split, but is that due to potentially the changing role of IGLs in the sort of current meta? Is this a different position that they've got to be in? They've got to sort of have a little bit more of a focus and hot call a lot that's going on all over the shop, and it becomes tougher to sort of be that secondary on those pushes when you know you're needed in so many other places. Rafal, in the meantime, he's finally able to at least secure one of those NaVi players with 20 seconds left and 4 more to go. Sure, 3 of them are on about 1 person's worth of health, but it's still 3 other guns that are going to be angled towards you. Drops down the stairs just a little, takes care of it, and there it is. The close angle held the spray. They saw the side, they get a triple, get dropped, and it's suddenly all blue. They flipped it back into a 1 versus 1. Rafal is stuck. He can't get through the hole in the floor, and secretly is able to take that one home.
There you go. It almost managed to turn around here. BDS was almost able to win that round, but in the end, it was a bit of a mismade rotation.
I mean,
stuck.
Is it mismade at that point?
It mismade?
Or is
no, it was probably just a bait, you know? Like,
bait rotation.
Try and crawl through. You're not going to be able to make it. Of course, it was never the point. It was probably just to shoot out the ankles, but... Of course, the only other option that was there was a castle barricade, which was unfortunately also not something you can easily pass through. So, tried to go for the 1 bit of information there was. Unfortunately, was not able to go through it. That leaves NaVi in a 1-4 in terms of round count. However, we are playing Cafe, and Cafe is defensive. And that means that if BDS are going to be able to win at least 1 more round, we find ourselves in a 4-2 split, which then again would be considered quite default. That does mean NaVi has an advantage. Yes, they do. However, that is an advantage that is easily to be cleared by BDS if they play their game. That is something they will be looking at as well. And even a 1-5 deficit is something you can come back from. It is by no way over. if this is going to be the eventual score on the half. And as we head into that final action phase, it's going to be yet again an attempt for Doki on potentially going to go for a spawn kill. Just get some bullets out, nothing else really. Doesn't want to expose himself too much as he's continuously being suppressed.
Oh, it's saves that gets the opener there. Lem's shut out almost instantly. I said he's generally found himself as more of a backline player this split, but the front line has called to him. At least Rafal is there to get a bit of revenge early on. The pick from the top of the window through the gate. NaVi is playing aggro, and, well, BDS are trying to find the response to it here. They've got themselves this balance back, but they might not know about Nath yet. Obviously, that clash was 6th picked in. It can become a huge problem if you find yourself trying to surmount the insurmountable and impassable for a poor prep.
Shako playing from below is looking if he can find any of the roamers. Of course, none on the board currently. All 4 are on that top floor, so just holding off an angle for the sense of security right now until they have an actual good indication of where these players are, where these NaVi players are located. As Vincere is still playing around the skylight, he's not going to be able to find anybody as of yet, but has 2 grenades to play with. There's shields inside the bathroom. It's Shako that needs to go in first, but the crossfire is there. We have 1 on Pixel, we have 1 in the bathroom. But at the same time, the bathroom has the opportunity of moving into the actual site. So, as NaVi playing here with that clash, he can be oppressive on piano, but that is basically it.
Well, they're just going to flood their way in. They have the cover. The hot pings are coming through. Shako had a bit of advantage on the fight, but the swing comes through. The ping is on the man that's down crouched. And look at this. NaVi are just pulling further and further back. They're sort of saying, well, you can take it, but we're still alive. Bride is going to go for the stick. The smoke pushes them further and further back, but they drop the kill on the door, and Blur shuts down Bride. A little bit of a long arm push here, the 3 versus 2, but it's a 2 versus 2. One of those still standing is that clash, though. Not great in the confrontation. They've got either side of the Aruni. That's the big problem right now. She's very isolated, but not for very long. Shako with the triple kill picks the diffuser up, and there's Nath getting 1 more back. Clash needs to see if they can get in a little bit here, but with 40 seconds, it's a post-plant. Nath steadily bringing themselves a bit closer. Shaiko's dipped their way to the left. He is not currently aware of that. Has a shield, a turtle shell on the back, which might give a bit of the game towards him, but as the pop comes round, it's Shako that catches the head, the graze, the 4-2 for a round where he picked up and went, well, this isn't going away from us.
Oh, I managed to pick up the good kills there. Managed to pick up 4 beautiful hat shots. Unfortunately, not the cover on Bride, but well made up for it. Taking down the players right afterwards and get the diffuser, get it planted, and play right around the clash that was coming in from the freezer. Find ourselves at 2-4 at the split. And as I mentioned, that is a gap that is easily to be bridged by BDS. Now they're on the defense themselves. LM so far not having the greatest game yet. We'll be going up onto that Valkyrie, getting out some cameras to the outer perimeters of the map, and potentially we'll be using those nitros on hatches or the skylight to hopefully pick up a player or 2.
Well, the problem factor is right now, Shako's having a good game. He's come in, he's 10-4, he's setting himself up, but so is that combination of Blur and Doki. Those 2 fraggers that when this NaVi was at its strongest was those 2 showing up in sort of massive power, massive aplomb. They were able to get in on engagements over each other's shoulders. They had all that cover and control between the pair of them. They were a nuisance for a lot of teams that went up against them, and I guess it's going to grow between these 2 as who's going to be the one that's able to keep shutting out the others. If NaVi can find an early round here, they could really start to isolate, potentially, some of the BDS players.
They could definitely have the opportunity to, as here again we see Shako just getting his quad kill, able to get the smoke first, put a shot onto the player in the freezer, and instantly, of course, snapping through, and that is saves. Snapping through to Vincere. Tried to go for a spawn peek himself. That failed. Shako, however, is the 2nd line of the spawn peek defense.
Is it a defense or an offense?
Sometimes the best defense is offense, they say, right?
I don't know if they do, but Doki says goodbye, LM. Shuts him out, who has gone 0-7 so far. just not really been able to have the connection this game that I think anybody. Once the C4 is thrown a bit early, hasn't quite caught any of the NaVi players who were on the roof. They've otherwise pulled themselves all the way back to the top. Shaiko realizes that the pressure is probably going to come onto the site itself. So reformulates, restructures. What they've lost, you assume that potentially those two guns have already been able to use their utility. Renshiro and LMs with all the cameras and the intel that they might provide. You still have the Echo for even more mobile intel if you desperately want or need it. But look at this. Doki has just sort of driven his way in, burns through a shield and puts the eyes towards Cigar and the bulletproof on the far side.
So they have the man advantage now on the side of NaVi. They can afford to be a little bit more aggressive in this case. And Shaiko's still out on the roam, I believe. I'm not quite sure if he returned yet. No, he's still on the white stairs and has the opportunity of trying to deny any of the NaVi members pushing through the white hallway. So they might be forced to go for the default take onto the B-bomb site. Try and push from behind the bar as drones are at least spotting out his position. And that is Says going for a bit of a pre-fire. Unfortunately for him, not hitting the shots though.
Rafal also suffered quite a lot inside the freezer. It leaves only Bride on full health right now, and that puts him in a bit of a tricky situation because it's a lot of these scraped firefights, 1 HP in a dream, and a minute 10. NaVi are keeping the pressure hot. They have so much time to sort of start burning their way through, but it's Shaiko that finally finds that man on the opposite side. The anchor, the anvil towards the backside of this push is gone, but as they're forced away by a grenade, Rafal actually goes for a drop. They have the Echo drones. Why not play that game a little bit later? Why not get yourself somewhere a little bit less intently under the fire? Goes down to the backside of White, but well, they might not have to swing so far. Secretly's going to try and stick it just on the inside. The old-fashioned default is turning through. They don't have an idea, and they don't have a Bride or a Shaiko either. It's suddenly just a little bit late to the party. Rafal, the Echo, can't quite find their way through on this. 30 seconds, 4 bodies.
Drone was there. Also the Hibana. It's NaVi that will be able to pick up their round number 5. And that means they're only 1 away of reaching the match point mark. They are only 2 away of securing themselves in the 3rd seed of Europe, knocking down BDS and crowning Desertu the winner of a prediction tournament.
I was going to say, I don't really know.
It is Dez. Dez.
No.
Okay.
What I don't really know is what result I would want from this game, because both Jess and Dez are going to be insufferable regardless of what way it goes. They probably are already on the back. I can imagine them at each other's throats. See, who's about easy to do? And Medix is just going to be lying on the sofa in the green room waiting. Yeah. And it's going to be Jess and it's going to be Dez jumping around at the screen at each other.
See, I have the potential of tying up with Dez.
You do.
Jess has the opportunity of winning solo.
Yeah.
That is on the line here today.
All right.
So yeah.
But I'm just saying, I don't think anyone is cheering
to win.
I don't think anyone is cheering for these two teams more than Jess and Dez right now in the green room.
Probably. Like, I can already sit Dez there, you know, sending L's over to Jess the entire time, you know.
And it's going to get worse.
And it's going to get worse.
But Jess would
luckily
be,
we're going
Jess
home
would be doing
tomorrow, so we don't have...
Yeah, Jess would be doing exactly the same thing if BDS were up 5-2 right now.
Of course.
They're both as bad as each other.
Definitely so. I just hope we don't get...
How do we have a draw? How do we bring a draw back in? Just to...
Yeah, can we get...
Just so Jess and Des...
And that way, we like Des already won though, if that is the case. So we also cannot have that.
Loopholes.
Yeah, maybe Socials will win. Socials will actually win. Socials are the
Socials. It's down to you, everybody at home.
Cannot let Des win. Use your foe.
All right. Enough about that. Let's talk about Siege. Well, we were talking about Siege, but this Siege. And Doki is trying to make the early entrance here across the top of the corner. They're going for the red take. It's pretty standard and familiar. BDS haven't decided to take a timeout. They're not a massive timeout really team. They sort of keep themselves as a conversation as a unit. They'll keep their drive going forward. And again, this is that end of season game where both of them are already qualified for the major. So it's a sort of, let's see if we can play. Let's see if we can dig ourselves in. LM, who hasn't had the best game so far, is on the Jaeger role, something that they've actually seen Rafal on a little bit recently. He's sort of stepped into the mantle, but obviously he's playing this Goyo, instead getting the shields in position. And I guess LM's just like, listen, I just want to play Jaeger. Just pass it over. Let's see if I can make things connect here as the E1Ds force them back. It's a much more reserved hold from BDS this as well.
It is indeed. No big spawn peaks coming out, losing 2 of your members in the first initial minute, leaving it up to a potential clutch situation. There's a foot that just got spotted out by Secretly there, so he's definitely going to be calling that one out. I just don't think anybody's in a position where they could actually try and instantly respond on it. Secretly tries to dig in. We didn't see that.
Okay,
we did kind of see it. It is very unfortunate. It is a way to make sure you're not going to be going into the first seed at the end of the day. But
I mean, that was entirely a gut instinct.
It was a reflex.
Yeah. Don't think that was a mistake. It was a brain fart. Those happen, especially when you haven't been able to connect to a game. You have these brain fart moments. You react quicker than you otherwise would. It's nothing more than that, but it's an unfortunate thing to happen when you take out Shaiko, your best performing player this game, and it's Shaiko. And now, I mean, NaVi, sure, they've got just over 30 seconds. They're going to try and find the drive. Alem has a lot to try and make up for now, and Shiro is alongside, able to get one more. Doki drives his way through, finds a second inside the freezer, looks for it, can't quite get it, but suddenly NaVi get it all over the shop.
And that means they are going to be up to match point now. They have the opportunity to, within the next round, and one after that one, to lock themselves in for third place inside of EUL. And then BDS with a fall down all the way down to fourth. Of course, still locked in to go to the major because that doesn't change anything on this. And now we're heading into round number 9. It's already where we are. Round number 9 that is about to start. And this could be the end of this game, of the 4th game on the final EUL Playday. Whereas, of course, both these teams are already confirmed. There isn't the winning. Well, there is actually the top of the league on the plays. It's just that BDS is the one that could take the first place. However, now they cannot anymore. So, like, that's off the board as well. The best they can do is stay inside of third place, and all they need to do is just get a single point. It doesn't matter what else happens after that one. And as Jess is walking in completely screaming as she has lost officially to Desert Shoe at this point.
Is this an official loss? It's not.
No, of course
BDS
not.
might
BDS
put
can
it
still
back.
come back. If BDS is able to bring it back to overtime and win it there, the battle will still be on.
Yeah.
Is it unlikely? It looks like it.
It's been, I think
but there's always an opportunity.
Yeah.
You gotta remember, it's not over until it's over.
Yeah, and what you've always got to take away from games like this, we always talk about, you know, these teams aren't going to be playing their A games. They're going to be keeping some stuff together because we're so close to Mexico and it's, you know, the sort of last play. But at the same time, they drive on fundamentals. They have great games since they have these great moments. You can see that there's frustration in BDS based on the performance today. They're trying to make these things connect, but NaVi are that little bit sharper, that little bit quicker today. They come in with a lot of energy and a sort of great vibe. You probably couldn't beat the mood that NaVi entered this game on, finding out that they'd qualified 2 games earlier. They're a fantastic mood for them to sort of come into this, and it shows in, I guess, the drive for and against BDS right now. There's Nath opening up yet again. Alems, he's sent once again to the bleachers, and if anybody's had a pretty frustrating day at the office, it's our man Alems.
Definitely hasn't been able to hit the mark quite, but so just a lot of free play, free roaming play coming out here from NaVi. Doki, he takes a lot of damage. Saves in the meantime that he's very well aware of Shaiko that is looking to go for a jump out. Shaiko's just patiently waiting, knows that he doesn't need to go now. However, he cannot move back up either as Rafal able to pick up a kill in return, bringing it to 4-4. Saves is going to be able to potentially lose out that gunfight. Shaiko takes it. Takes the man advantage, and that might just be what BDS need to make sure that they have an opportunity of bringing it back to overtime to secure their 3rd seed at least.
Yeah, just heard the hop up there onto the AC unit, took the initiative and went for the firefight there. The pre-fire came through, and since then, Saves are sort of struggling to get the angle and an idea just on where the pressure was coming from. The grenade round on the other side pops Rafal. Great combination there, utility, and it allows Doki to drive his way across. He's still very low health, but he's done a lot of work here to allow them to enter and get some of the control. Nath is waiting for the pressure potentially to come from above, has those bolts, has the ability to try and force them into unfortunate situations, but Renshiro on the Wamai means it's not quite that easy.
Doki being tagged up. He's not really able to go for the gunfight there. A bit of pressure coming down from the white hallway as well. But Shaiko and Nath knows that one is inside that freezer. Might have to light it up with the incendiary bolts as they're coming out now. That will definitely force him to rotate out. As Brede is digging himself a little bit closer inside of the actual freezer itself, and Doki, while still on that 1 HP, cannot really afford to take any damage elsewhere.
No, he's looking to see if he can get a bit of a lead in on the fight here, but it's Renshiro that still has that cross angle, sprays over the top of the shield that he's been watching pretty intently so far. It's a tough 3 versus 2 here because they still have a lot of work left to do, and they have the angles. Oh, wow! That was a heck of a take there secretly. Drops the head of Renshiro on the other side of the shield. Going to go in close with the recently buffed Bearing 9, but the swing of Shaiko is the burst that he suffers first. There's Nath covering their movements a little bit so they can try and push the pressure through. Sees the close body, but Shaiko has the range. The smoke didn't quite have the full lock-off they'd hoped for, and BDS find their 3rd round.
Something you would have been expecting to say after 9 rounds here, but it is going to be the reality. Now we have a tactical timeout to be called in from no other team than NaVi.
I mean, why not? It's a time to have a bit of a talk. You're one sort of position away. You can really set yourself up here with the chance of some growth on the board. It's all seeding at the end of the day, and it's also longer than just this stage. When you're looking at the grander scheme of things, NaVi knows that obviously they had a great finish in the first split. A finish here above BDS, who also had a good finish in the first split, that can really put them in a great stead for the final sprint, because we're seeing Empire get stronger and stronger. We're seeing G2 get stronger and stronger. NaVi here a position to clinch what, if we're going to talk about the importance of Secret getting points out of today, this is in a way just as important for that fight around the top, is they have a chance to secure some ground, which they might otherwise not get later.
Yeah, definitely so. And if NaVi manages to pick up the win here, they'll find themselves at 38 points total over stage 1 and 2 combined. Now, it's just as much as BDS has, but I believe that both the round differential, or both the head-to-heads, go in the favor of NaVi, which means they win that one with 2-0, which means they will be top of the league.
That's it.
For this year so far. Of course, G2 and Empire are starting to come up hot on their trails with 4 points, and then a little bit more, 9 points behind. Vitality also in the mix, 5th place currently, 27 points. So there's definitely a lot still to be gained for a lot of these teams. And if you're thinking long run, NaVi and BDS, well, BDS, if they win this one, I believe they can secure themselves their EUL 2022 spot by game 1 or 2. If they lose this one, it's going to be 2 or 3. Same would go for NaVi inside of stage 3, of course. And, you know, that is going to be taking away a lot of the pressure you might have if you know that at least the year after, you're still going to be in the EUL. It's likely, but...
Yeah, I mean, it would be a massive surprise, I think, anyone to not see those two teams' names. But hey, remember what happened to Rogue. It's the famous fable that we talk about a lot.
And that is to show that everything is possible over the course of a single stage. So that is something to always keep in mind. Whereas NaVi on round 10 will be approaching yet once more. It's the bottom floor that they have to attack, and just a single opening kill can easily shift this round quickly into their favor if they would be going for a quick push, for example. And these drones will be giving away a lot of this information that could be necessary. Nitro about to be tossed through, should be going right through that door and hoping to pick up some great kills. That is going to be a grenade tossed through. You don't need to do that anymore. Nitro gets shot out. I was going to say, you don't need to pick up the Electrocly anymore because it doesn't destroy it anymore.
I think it might have been for the grenade. I think they were worried that the grenade might be able to cost. Obviously, they've been able to force the body out from behind this bakery now, and with that wall open, it means that they're still going to put some pressure in. I think that's Shaiko inside Coat is going for the huge angle fight here, which, to be fair, if anyone can sort of make that work, it's going to be him. There's an easy take there. Doki, one more on the bad board for Alem yet again, unfortunately. A bit of a tricky day continues. And it's going to be Shaiko, though, who's able to get a little bit back. He's still on the board. He's still a big problem. There's one more. If they swing a little bit wider there, they might not have known just how potentially they could have been rewarded. Rafale is in a bit of a tricky situation, and NaVi's a good team at sort of holding angles. There's the drift, the drive-by, but the positioning, nobody was there to punish that.
Ooh, what an angle. Such long range, just repelled up here. NaVi able to put quite some damage down onto Rafale. 90 seconds left in the round. It's a one-man advantage here for NaVi to work with. Shaiko will drop. It's Doki to pick up that kill. There's one man left in the side. There's one quite close. And if they're going to be able to win these ones, they will find themselves in a 3rd seed and 1st overall in the EUL. That's great to come out, but Brede will not be taking too much damage off it. Firebolts are coming out, smokes are as well, just to try and cover the plant. The pings are coming through as 45 seconds soon to be on the clock. It's only going to be up to Rafal now. He has the opportunity to go for the drones, but it will not happen. It's Doki to pick up the final couple of kills. And NaVi will find themselves in the 3rd place at the end of this stage. So we'll find themselves at the 1st place of stage 1 and 2 combined, with 2 head-to-head wins over BDS. And Desitu will be insufferable until the end of stage 3. So I'm going to ask one kind thing to production. If he starts about this, please mute his microphone and blur his face straight away.